sex, but like with teenagers, there's always been sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like sex has always been a big thing. Like even when you think about like the 40s and 50s, they're sneaking off to the high point,
the drive up place on the mountain.
Yeah, the kissing point.
Yeah, where the hook hand people come to murder on the radio.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cassette players.
No, it was before cassette tape players.
I don't know.
They had like the just radio.
Just dials. You turn it static. Then
that's
music
just
again.
Teens are horny as always. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I'm Gabe.
And I'm Kat.
And we're
the Ghouls Next Door.
I almost said Girls Next Door.
That's not us.
I forgot. I forgot. Like,
how long has it been?
This is what, episode 115?
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
We have a few in here where we forget what we're doing. But yeah, I'm Gabe. At least I got that part right.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's good.
Yeah, we're doing a new thing where we just talk about a film.
Mm-hmm.
And dive in a little bit more.
We're giving the people what they want.
Yeah, they're shorter-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode was not short.
Yeah.
But
sometimes we just talk a lot anyway. But it's not as structured, so it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. You love it, so
yeah, you did this. All right, so you only have yourself to blame.
That's great.
Yeah, we are. If you're watching on YouTube, we are dressed kind of special.
Mm-hmm.
We look a little war-torn.
We have fought
the
patriarchy.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So this is what happened. You can't fight the patriarchy without getting a little blood.
Mm-hmm.
And women are a little more used to the blood.
Yeah.
Dude, it's every month. Anyway.
You're welcome.
Period jokes. Lady comedians.
That's what they come here for.
Yeah, no, today we're talking about a film from 2018 called Assassination Nation, which came out on Hulu and is about a group of teens who are fighting because of things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's definitely in the social horror realm. It discusses, you know, the effects of social media,
mm-hmm.
How women are seen and what is expected of us women. It features a trans actress, and her storyline takes note of her being trans, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You never see that. And it was great. It was, you know, I was worried that we were just kind of have a washed, woman washed,
mm-hmm.
J.K. Rowling approved, women only.
Yeah. When
you're talking about women, but it's women with the X, right? Yeah. So, because
mm-hmm.
there are others,
yeah.
You're intersectional, and you can't really call yourself feminist if you're not including trans women as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be.
Yeah.
It's just how that works.
So welcome.
If you didn't know that, now you do. Yeah. So, yeah.
It does some good, some bad, some...
Yeah.
It's a mix of everything. I mean...
That's what you get.
You get 115 episodes in, and... It's just the media analysis classes eventually just never come off. And
yeah, no, we just watch and
we're like, oh yeah, that was really fun, but wait.
Yeah.
I must understand.
Must talk about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This so the film is kind of cool because it features teenagers
mm-hmm.
who are fighting, which is fun. It reminded me of Tragedy Girls, which we covered for
mm-hmm.
our social media episode.
Yeah.
So it was and I love cool hip teenagers doing stuff. I will say when I was watching it, I was like, I just cannot relate to these teens.
Oh yeah.
I was like, there's no I as a teenager was in my room playing The Sims or doing homework. They're always partying. They're super hot. They're always naked pretty much almost. And but in this like empowering way, you
Yeah.
know, like when we like if you were like I still feel kind of uncomfortable when I'm in spaghetti straps because of school being like you need a cardigan, don't show your shoulders, you'll distract the men, and it's like what? I'm just here to learn algebra, and so I thought it was like I mean that part was really cool, but I was really just like I don't know.
Yeah, like what world is this? What alternate reality world is this? Because yeah, same. I mean, I was not cool. At least, like you know, I was definitely very high strung. I was like, I had like a job.
Yeah.
And like, was just like kind of really angry. I was very Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
If you imagine me, but Avril Lavigne. That's kind of who I was.
I wore really weird things.
It's like skater boy.
Yeah, but it was me. I was the skater boy.
I don't want to be cool.
Yeah. I don't go to parties, but it's a choice, not because no one invited me. When I was watching, I was like, what do I know about teenagers when I was trying to get ready for this? I was like, I know that they know how to do makeup well, that they understand technology better than I do, and they can TikTok like really well.
They use fun slang.
Yeah, they use fun slang. All of them are kind of gay in some way, like they're all on the spectrum, which I think is awesome because it's like everyone's like so excited. I said this, I think, to was it you or my boyfriend? I was like, I wish that the same support we kind of have for kids these days of like being accepting and understanding of like what they're going through, like that, like adults and like or like teens in the late 80s and early 90s, because like we're millennials, so we were young, like we were babies in the 90s, right? But to have like the older siblings who were going through those really hard times, if they had the same support that like the Zennials and them have, like you know, how different would the adults be now, like the generation before us, to have
a lot
that
less
support.
Repressed.
Yeah,
that would be a big piece of it, I feel like.
Yeah, because I feel like
just
it was
like more empathetic.
Yeah, yeah, because I feel like we were starting to have that. Like I remember, at least, I mean, with this film, it's just like what there's like makeup, blah blah blah. There's sex, but like with teenagers, there's always been sex. Like sex has always been a big thing. Like even when you think about like the 40s and 50s, they're sneaking off to the high point,
the drive up place on the mountain.
Where the kissing point.
Yeah, where the hook hand people come to murder on the radio.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Yeah,
cassette players.
No, it was before cassette tape.
Oh, I don't know.
They had like the just radio,
just dials. You turn it static. Then
that's
music
just
again.
Teens are horny as always. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, back like way back then, it was like that's when you got married and had babies. So that's it would be really like ignorant to not acknowledge that kids are like teens are gonna be horny and want to have sex, and that's why we need sex education and not abstinence only, because they're gonna have sex, they're gonna do it. We might as well just teach them what they should be doing so that we don't end up with like, you know, teen moms or STDs. Slowly
but surely we're getting closer towards, but maybe not. I don't know. Handmaid's Tale it's happening outside, so it's a little bit of both. But yeah, more accepting. Kids these days in most areas of the United States generally have more empathy, more understanding of the world than any other generation, just because they have so much of it in their pocket. Through social media, through their phones, they have like way more access to information. And we kind of see how the positives of that in this film, and then also the negatives in like cancel culture and Twitter, and kind of like who's deciding who's punished. How do we punish the people in the world? And you kind of see like the positives and negatives, and that like I think the Zennials that we see in the United States both have more empathy and less. Because they're like, I totally get it. Like, oh, wow, emotions towards people I don't even know across the world. But then also it's like, oh, I heard they did that. I hope they die. And it's like, oh.
Well, because I think there's a like a desensitization. Man, I don't know. Because like they are saturated, like this world that they're in is super saturated with violence and abuse, and
it's in your pocket.
And I think like a part of like a strength and like a negative is that like the things that like boomers or like generations before us like upheld as like this very important thing, like privacy and, you know, virginity and like your pride and like all that stuff that was all tied up together of like you were an upstanding citizen because you didn't air your dirty laundry in public and you didn't have sex until you were married or you didn't talk about it. Like, yeah. So like with the youth of today, it's kind of different than that. It's that stuff doesn't matter and it never really has, but like by throwing that away, they've ultimately like changed their society because those things don't matter anymore. And so it looks like to anyone who holds those things as like, you know, the way to be, for them to just throw that away, it looks like they're just like degenerate and they're like monsters and like, how dare you, you know, not treasure your body and like sit like a lady and do all this stuff. And they're just like, no, but what you don't realize is none of that matters. Like all of that is stupid. And all those things that you believe in is really dumb. And it's just a way to control you. And we don't have to do that anymore. Yeah. And so I think like there's a strength in that. But then there's also like, what is holding them? What is grounding them? Like, what do they like? What is good? Right?
Like what's their moral compass, essentially?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole entire film is kind of like a commentary on the hypocritical morality of America and other places in the world as a whole. Anywhere that kind of like follows, to be a good person, you have to follow Catholicism or Christianity or some sort of narrative along those lines. And that like we expect humans to not act on any of their natural desires and be shell people and only fit molds, be robots, be
obedient citizens.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like very hypocritical because no one fits that mold. But like we're very good at shaming people and like having zero empathy and like attacking people for things that's like lots of the not all the time, but lots of the time it's usually just because like the feeling of you feel like that is the enemy or that is something maybe you even feel inside, but you're taught from a young age to hate that.
Yeah.
So you hate yourself and you hate everything around you and you know, you kind of take that out in really toxic ways.
Yeah.
But
and it's like I was, you know, it's that idea of like, I didn't get to have that, so why do you? Like I was ridiculed for being this way or for feeling differently than what normal quote quote and society wanted me to be, so like you can't have that freedom. Like I hate that like when people are upset that kids have it easier, it's like, why don't you want that?
Yeah, like that was the goal.
Like, yeah, we always want them to be better. We want the next generation to be better and have it easier. Yeah. That is the whole primary goal of society and civilization as a whole.
Well, yeah, because it's really interesting. I mean, in terms of like, okay, for myself, I know that like since I've experienced some things, it's shifted who I am as a person. It's expanded my empathy. It's made me a stronger, more resilient human. It made me like less crappy of a human. Like there's lots of things. So it's like struggle equals growth.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. And I think that's what they mean. But
it's okay
it's
for
also
them to be
fine
soft,
for them to be different.
Yeah. And the thing is that they're not really, right? Like they're a lot stronger than...
They're just different.
Yeah, you give anyone credit for. Like I you know, my sister grew up different than me, where you have 9 years age gap, you have a large 15 with your brother. Yeah. So like it's kind of like children for us, right? But like, you know, her growing up was so much different from mine, but I see a lot of similarities. Like I'm like, she's pretty much me, just like not afraid of being her, you know? Like I was always like, I'm gonna be quiet, I'm gonna hide that part of me. And she like unabashedly is just like, this is who I am and I'm gonna do it. And I'm like,
same. That's so funny. That's exactly who Cole is too.
Yeah. Because, you know, you just like, because, well, one, it's like the second kid thing where they're a little more free to do what they want to do because the parents aren't as strict. But also, like, I think it's also the generational thing of like, again, that support. Like, we're kind of allowing kids to be kids and experience these things a lot because we don't really know. Like, it's such a unique experience for like a Xennial or someone who's grown up and like with the technology that they have has always been there. Like we started to have it, right? Like
we were in a time before though at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So we're in this weird like analog and, you know, internet. It was like this whole thing, but they've just always existed in that world. So it's very interesting. And what I found interesting about this film is that unfortunately, a lot of those themes that like we could have said we experienced as a young person are still there. And that's like, it's kind of sad. And so Yeah, we can dive into the film. So I'll tell you guys what the film is. It's called Assassination Nation from 2018. After a malicious data hack exposes the secrets of the perpetually American town of Salem, chaos descends and four girls must fight to survive while coping with the hack themselves. It is directed by a dude, Sam Levinson.
Yeah.
So that part, I'm just like, okay. But... yeah. You know,
there's positives and there's negatives.
Yeah. I think, you know, kind of in this way, instead of like with Invisible Man, where, you know, he said, like, I am trying to like interview these people, et cetera, et cetera. I talked to Elizabeth Moss. She told me stuff. It's in the script, which is nice, right? With this, you know, I think there was like a interview that you found. Yes. From Seventh Row, where it was like this question of like, it's reflecting, you know, the experience of a young woman in America. Like, how do you find that information? You as a man, like a grown man, how do you know? Because I'm like, I don't know. I was like, this is cool. Now I know what kids are doing. You know, I'm a younger woman, like, you know. But he says, like, the thing about the youth of today is that they're all online. Like, if you want to know what people feel, you should ask them. And then also, they're already just putting it out there. And that's the thing, is like, they don't really understand, or like, don't put any value in privacy in the same way. Yeah. And it's even said in the film, there's like a quote where she says, one of the cheerleaders who ended up having done something awful, says, I don't have any sympathy for people who get hacked. And they were like, what? What do you mean? And she's like, it's stupid. She's like, only old people are like worried of that. She's like, because everything is out there. And I was like, to me, I'm like, yeah, it's like all the people who are afraid of, you know, like the people who are like, share this thing because Facebook's watching. It's like, Facebook already is. Yeah. Like, unless you put the little thing in there, like they watch all the usage outside of the app, and that's how it influences what ads you get, and you have to manually tell it no. Google knows where you're going all the time. It has a record of every place you've been if you have Google on your phone, right? Like TikTok, China has all of your information. Like, that is just like, as soon as you sign up for any app, you, in that, you know, in terms and conditions are saying, sure, here's my life. So like, go look at it. Yeah. And hopefully, like, there's not anything too bad. Yeah. And like, you know, kids are just like, that's their whole life. Like, they've never known privacy, really. Yeah. And so like, because they're diaries and journals that we like would grow up with. Or vlogs, like video vlogs. Yeah. Or their YouTube channel, or their TikTok, or their Instagram live stories. Like, you don't... Instagram live stories. I'm such like a grandma. Instagram live or their Instagram stories. Yeah. Two different things. They don't use Facebook. Facebook is for old people. Yes. Your mom. Which is honestly fine, because it's problematic. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, they're bringing Tumblr back. Get off Facebook, so. Yeah. TikTok, all that. Yeah. And so it's all out there. And so, you know, she remarked about like, it's kind of foolish to have this notion of privacy, and that, you know, like, you should always operate as if you were going to be exposed, right? And existing in a world where we are in rampant cancel culture, right? It is a question of like, you know, nothing is protected, and people are starting to realize that. Like, when the internet first kicked off, and Facebook first kicked off, Twitter first kicked off, people were tweeting and commenting and doing all that stuff without any knowledge or fear or understanding of the future. Yeah. And so now we're looking back and being like, what about this? What about this racist post? What about this homophobic post? Like, and asking people to be held accountable. And I think personally, a part of that is like, it's kind of like, there's two sides to it. I think if you're going to be confronted with things that you said in the past, like, we all come from a place where we probably have said things, right? Or like, even on like the worst things, they can be misconstrued or taken out of context or whatever, right? But I think it's acknowledging growth, right? It shouldn't be like, oh, I see that now and I'm better. It should be like, I acknowledge that is something I thought of or did, or I thought it would be funny. Like, I didn't understand the whole punch up instead of punching down concept or whatever. And like, kind of showing the steps to have improved and been better than the person you were in the past. And like, taking responsibility for it too. Like, if anything, you should just be like, that sucks that I thought that at the time. Like, I'm upset too, right? Like, and I want to fix it. Like, for people who acknowledge it and then work to change that or repair that or show their own personal growth and progress, then like we don't have to cancel them. Yeah. They've learned. I think the whole goal of cancel culture isn't just to get people out of here. It's to be like, the past sucks. Yeah, change it. Right? But for people who are like on the offense immediately and like, it's just jokes, it's just funny. It's like, no, that's the whole problem.
Well, yeah, and there's a whole thing too that where it's like, if you're told that, like, you can't tell people they're not offended. Like, that's a big thing that people struggle with. Yeah. I know when I was younger, struggled with a lot because I was just a very defensive person of, like, myself, my personality, and otherwise. Because, like, critiques and...
Yeah, it's hard.
Emotional things. But it's just, like, very real, and it's, like, you might not be forgiven. Like, sometimes that's just a thing, too. Like, you still said it, even if you have grown. Yeah. You might just have to take that L and be like, all right. Yeah, that sucked. Yeah, I'm trying actively to be better, but if you don't forgive me, that's your total whole thing. You're allowed. Yeah. And I'm sorry still, but you know, I cannot force your hand.
Yeah, because you know, it's that idea of like, you know, you can't tell someone else how to feel, right? Like you can't say that you didn't offend someone. Like that's not your That's not yours to decide, right? Like you can't tell me what my feelings are. If I was offended, I was offended. And so it's a part of you to either acknowledge, like, okay, I understand that. It wasn't my intention. Of course, we talk about impact over intent, right? So it's like, that wasn't my intent, but I'm going to acknowledge the impact that it had. And like, I can't change that it has happened, but I can now change what happens next. Yeah. And that's like really what the biggest part of cancel culture is like people should be like, okay, yeah, that was awful. Yeah. Super sorry, like genuinely. And now I have like the only way to do that, like the only way to show that I'm actually sorry is to do something about it. Right? Not just be like, it was the times. It's locker talk. Instead of like, like what is that?
I mean, it's just excuses and defensiveness. That's not a word. Defensiveness? Yeah, sure. Pride?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good word. You know. Yeah, I think, so in this film, we have the small town of Salem, which is great. It's a great location to have it in.
Do you remember what happened in Salem?
You guys remember that? Remember perhaps the time in which we... you know, hurt people based on rumors and things taken out of context. And if you wanted to hurt someone, you just said, you know, they're a witch.
That's not something that happens now.
What? People don't do that. There's the witch hunts that not mine, but your president might say.
Also McCarthyism. There's lots of history of us.
Yeah, McCarthyism.
Red Scare. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. I don't remember what was before.
Okay.
Salem. We were talking about Salem.
Yes. Okay. I was like, what do you mean? You know,
narcolepsy moment. It's cool.
Yeah. So it takes place in Salem, and it's like it follows these teen girls who are in high school and, you know, kind of just going through like the troubles of life anyway. We have a girl who is sexting. Someone who we only know in her text as being referred to as daddy. her glucose guardian. Glucose guardian. So we are to assume that's an older person. And she's been sending a lot of selfies of her like sexy and nude or in her underwear. And she's 18.
Yeah, just in poses where she's not showing her like face, like her, probably like her nose down.
Yeah. She's trying to some degree have some privacy with it, right? Yeah. But it's like, it's a type of sexual relationship, right? Like even though they have never touched or kissed or done any of that, it's very much a valid relationship in that, like, and it is, you know, it's an affair because we found out it's a married man, and it's
well, because there was an emotional piece, and then also the you know, like sexting, and I think video exchange was something that happened too. Yeah. They called each other, maybe.
Yeah, I think. There's a good deal of things in there. There's another character who is trans, and she is texting and has this relationship with sport guy, right? Sports guy who does really like love her, but
gray sweatpants.
There's like a they have a whole conversation about sweatpants, and we were like, yeah, that's real. A thing. It's for true. But yeah, so she ends up like having this hookup with that character, and there's like,
I think his name is Damien.
It was Diamond.
Oh, that's even fancier.
Yeah, it's great.
I enjoyed that. Continue.
And so she hooks up with Diamond, and because I was like, okay, this is a trans actress, because I looked her up, and I saw all these articles, and I was like, this is really cool, because this is the second thing now I've seen where honestly, the trans actress kind of steals the show.
Oh yeah.
So
they get the most improvised lines too.
Yeah, and there was what is it? Battle Nun, I think it is on Netflix.
Battle Nun?
Yeah. Warrior Nun. So
that's a show or movie?
Yeah, it's a show on Netflix. It's fine. I feel like the last 3 episodes of the season could have been the whole season, and there's like 8 episodes of like her being a snotty teenager we didn't need. But there's a trans actress character in there, and she just, every time she's there, it's like, she's the one I want to be following. Like, I can care absolutely not any less about this main character who's supposed to, like, she's whatever. But as soon as she shows up, I'm like, what's she going to do?
Yeah.
I want to go on an adventure with her, right?
Yeah.
And so I had looked it up because I was like, oh, she looks familiar. And then I was like, oh, it's so cool. And so then so I already knew that she was trans before the story I was like worried they wouldn't tell you, and that they would just be like, oh, it's just another woman, which is like fine and not fine. Right? Yeah. Like, it's your choice, but I think it's so much more impactful and helpful to like young trans women who might also want to be seen on the screen too.
Yeah,
right?
like for representation.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to erase her own issues, but I also don't want to make it like, being trans is awful. Like, it's like, it could go so wrong. Yeah. And so there's like a whole scene where they like hook up, and then it's like, he like kind of is awkward and he leaves. And so when we were talking about it, I was like, is it because she's trans, or is it because it's just a teenage situation where it's like a popular boy doesn't want to be associated with the girl? And so we were like, it could go either way. It's such a genuine like storyline. And then
he had a history of being a F boy.
Yes. Yeah.
Like them calling him that and being like, oh.
Yeah.
He doesn't really seem like he's trying to commit. Maybe that wouldn't be, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I still want to, like, it's fine.
And she like did really like him. And you could see the pain on her face, and they still like, were strong and proud when they like walk past him in school. And then it turned out like later, when things are kind of going a little haywire, that he was kind of worried. Like, he didn't come to school because they found out that he had been with a trans woman. And so his so-called friends were then being judgmental and saying awful things like, I shared a drink with him and blah blah blah. And it was just like, they were saying things to that trans character. Like, they said stuff to her and to
like Beck, complimenting her.
Yeah, they were like, Bex, you look great today. Like, yeah. But again, that's like teenage boys 1. Like, as soon as a girl becomes not as desirable for any reason that they've decided, now it's like you're the enemy for having done anything.
It's like when a person asks you out and then you don't say yes, so they're like, oh, well, you're ugly or fat or whatever. And they're just like, I don't want to, why would I even want? It's like, you're the one who did.
Yeah, so I think, it's exactly like that. Like, your teen, or even just now, right? Like, if you're rejected in any way or
misogynistic behavior indicates that you should lash out, and that's not. You should react angrily and violently with that feeling of rejection.
Yeah. Or even like when you're, whatever you hold to be the masculine like way to live, anyone against that is like now the enemy. Yeah. Like, and so you have to like tear them down. And so, I think it's pretty interesting. There is a Black character too, but she gets like, I think 1 line.
She doesn't talk much. I mean, okay. Yes. So, kind of similar to Invisible Man, and this man writes a feminist time.
Yes.
The Black characters, like, are given very little character development, if any. I mean, like, a little. But they're really used as, like, plot devices and fodder.
Mm-hmm.
Cannon fodder and plot devices. So I attribute it to the, I mean, I'm not giving him credit for being this, like, intentional and smart, but maybe in a perfect world. But that, like, it could represent how Black women are often left out of the feminist movements, or, like, white feminism. They're kind of, like, voices are not honored or validated or anything. And it's definitely a really big problem that is within, like, I guess, the feminism movement in general. Is, like, the kind of discrediting or just, like, not acknowledging Black women in that movement.
I think to have such a pivot, like, there's pretty much two storylines that are important in here, and it's our main character, which I forget her name, and then there's Bex, right? So it's like these two are the stories we're getting to see, and it's like, why have 4 main character girls
if you're only gonna
show us 2? And the other 2 were so lackluster in their, like, there's nothing, I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they like. I don't know who they're into. One of them makes a joke and that's like it, you know?
Yeah, they were just like the rich house that, I mean, they seemed like everyone was kind of like a little bit well off.
Yeah.
But they were like the wealthy house where the parent wasn't fully there because they were doing, like, pills.
Yeah, and she was having affairs with other people's husbands too. So, and that was, like, happening in the peripheral. So if you're not watching and you're not, like, if you don't remember what her name is, you don't know that she was also exposed, and you don't know that she was attacked in the parking lot by the white mom who was like, that's my husband. Like, we didn't even get to experience that. And also, like, if you weren't, again, paying attention, you didn't know that this Black mother had a Black daughter and a white daughter. So, like, we've never even talked about the fact that that girl is possibly biracial or adopted or what. Like, we never get that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that could have been, like, more to this story that could have been amazing. Because if you want to talk about intersectionality in the feminist movement, if you want to talk empowering, like, women and young girls to kind of feel like they can fight back, then you need to show that representation. And it's like, where, like, Diamond was the brownest person. Like, there was 2 Black characters I could remember. Diamond's the only brown character, and then everyone else was white because it was, like, this white town. Oh, the principal.
Yes, the principal was also kind of used as a plot device. And then there was the young man who, when the main character, whose name I forget, was being attacked by her ex-boyfriend, that was helping them hold her down. And then you could just, like, see the pain and regret in his eyes. Because it was that whole quote in the, like, earlier part of the film where we hadn't quite got to the craziness or, like, the intense action. But we were, like, almost there. And it said, the main character said, like, 10% of the population is, like, really just ready to mess stuff up. Like, is angry, no empathy, really not about moral standards, I guess. And then other 10% are, like, really helpful, good, ready to be good people. 100% are lawful good. Lawful evil. And then 80% of the population could sway either way depending on what, like, the mob mentality is of the moment. So you're kind of seeing that with characters as they're participating in, like, the backlash or, like, the Twitter canceling in real life made to happen when everything gets leaked. But that character specifically, like, you can see he is of the 80%. He has no lines, though.
Being stuck.
And then just, like, you have, like, this pain and regret in his eyes.
Because it's like, if you're not helping, then you become a victim. And so, and who would know better than that? Right, than a person of color or a Black person, right? So it's like, I enjoyed the principal when he first showed up, because I was like, well, good on him for being this, like, Black man who's a principal in a predominantly white neighborhood. Like, how did he get there? Like, I wanted to, like, and I wanted there to be a commentary on that. Like, and he kind of did, like, there's a little dabble of it when he is kind of explaining why he became a teacher and why he did that. And he said, I didn't grow up here. I didn't grow up in this affluent neighborhood. I grew up on the other side and had to struggle, and I didn't have these things that these kids have. And so I fought to kind of show and be appreciative of these things, because I know what the world is without it, right? But it's such a and there's screaming and yelling from everyone else that we don't really get that. But I think there's a lot of great conversations that happen in this.
Oh, for the lines in the film. There's like tons of awesome quotes. And I mean, as much as they do use the, Black characters as plot devices, there is like some showing of racism and how that is in this like mostly white affluent town. But it's not as overt as I guess it would be if you were trying to say anything intentional.
Yeah, if you thought that was important, right? And that's the thing. It's like we're kind of and that's, again, it is kind of, like you were saying, symbolic of the feminist movement in a lot of ways, in that we do tend to neglect or misrepresent or just completely just like not notice that, or it's even happening, like these other communities and these other parts of the bigger movement, right? And so like oftentimes it is very symbolic that like in our act, like thinking about the suffragettes, right? Like they got women's voting, but it was white women.
Yep.
And then it wasn't for years and years later that it was Black women, and then it was Hispanic women, and then Asian women. So it's like we just had a trail on the end there.
Yep.
And that's just how like all of the movements kind of happen, is like, we got to get the white people in there first, and then we'll come after you, which is the problem, right?
Yeah.
And then we also now have the spectrum of gender too. It's just like, where do the rest of us fall? Who aren't on, like, you're just not, it's not black and white anymore, right?
Yeah.
And I think, if you're not being intentional and you're not understanding that is a part of it, and as someone who isn't, like, he is a white man, doesn't really know that. And you can't know that from no matter how many tweets you are really watching, like, you're looking for content for, you're not going to know that unless you're like really knee deep in there and you experience it, right? And so like it's going to be neglected. But there's a lot of things in there that we can take from it that are good.
There were lots of positives. We have to give some negatives, but
yeah,
there were a lot of, it was a good, entertaining, said lots of, like, in terms of just focusing on feminism. Good.
You did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying a lot of things that we can agree with. Like, I think one part that I wasn't expecting was the conversation with Bex and Lily as the main character. Looked it up.
Excellent.
Where they're in the pool and they're talking about the mayor, who is the first person who gets hacked. And he gets hacked, and it shows that he's not trans, but he was like a drag. He would dress in women's clothing, women's lingerie, his clothing, which were generally perceived as women's clothing, like lingerie and things like that, and have these like hookups or whatever. And, Lily's like reading these texts between him and his wife, and how he essentially was like, it's awful that it took this whole time, my whole life, to essentially acknowledge that I'm this way. But I can't, like, do that to myself. I can't keep pretending I'm somebody else. And her being like, it's too late. You're my husband. The kids are ready to eat. You got to get home. Like, just completely dismissing him. Like, you have to keep playing this game, and that's it. Right?
Yeah.
And so Lily is feeling bad for him, because he's also the first to be like, witched.
Yeah, he's the first outed, essentially.
Yeah. And he loses it. He has to, like, it's like the first 10 minutes, but spoiler alert, shoots himself, right?
Yeah.
Because there's
in front of everyone. So it was like similar to when the principal came. He was in the same place. And that was the thing they kept coming back to, is like, it's because it starts with the suicide in the first 10 minutes, that they're always like, it's always about time till that's what happens, which is...
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it just kind of, it's the first blood, and it gives them more power. Like, the fact that doesn't dissuade them to be like, oh, wow, our impact affects lives and took lives. Like, no one takes any onus of that, right?
Oh, yeah, no.
So I think, like, that's super kind of, representative of how this whole group is like, we don't care about people, right? And so Bex is having this conversation with Lily, and she says, I don't care. He can die. Like, I do not give a care. Because, like, she's like, he wouldn't care if I died. Like, he in the closet that whole time while pushing and supporting these bills and movements and things that were hurting me and people like me, right? And she has this conversation like, you know, where Lily says, well, you know, he had to hide it and like, you're brave. And she's like, yeah, because there's another option. Like, I'm brave because I'm not who I am. Like, I could have not been me. Like, there's another version. This is a choice, like, essentially, and like calling her out on it. And I was like, that's so great. Because like, you could very easily have not had that conversation. And it's so like casual. And again, if you're not listening, you kind of miss it. You kind of don't notice. But it's like so legit. And for her to just be like, and it's representative of how it is out there. And the other problem with that is like, you know, we have this kind of explanation for people who are hateful and homophobic. Like, I don't even want to use the word homophobic because it's not a fear. It's just hate, right? So there's always this scapegoat kind of explanation where if someone is perceived as being homophobic, that like maybe they're in the closet, which is stupid because it's like, that's not true. Not everyone who hates like people who are on the spectrum of sexuality are secretly gay. That's not how that works. Like, you could just be hateful, right? And so I just like kind of how she just totally is just like, I don't care. Like, that's not a ally. He's not me. And it wasn't a choice for me to be this way. I am this way. And he didn't support me for who I am. Yeah. And I thought that was a great conversation.
No, yeah. I mean, their character, Bex, has mostly improvised lines from what I read in some of the interviews, and then also just like stole the show. I totally agree. Did a fantastic job.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I thought was great was, so towards the end, we have the kind of monologue where Lily is kind of having her whole rant about like, this is what they expect women to be. And she explains like, you know, like, close your legs, open your legs, do this, blah, blah. And it reminded me of that video. Have you seen it? With like all those like famous women who are just like, be a lady and be a whore and do this and do like, and it was just like all the different women kind of talking about how we're pushed and pulled and twisted and.
Be a lady, they said. Your skirt is too short. Your shirt is too low. Don't show so much skin. Cover up. Leave something to the imagination. Don't be a temptress. Men can't control themselves. Men have needs. Look sexy. Look hot. Don't be so provocative. You're asking for it. Wear black. Wear heels. You're too dressed up. You're too dressed down. You look like you've let yourself go. Be a lady, they said. Don't be too fat. Don't be too thin. Eat up. Slim down. Stop eating so much. Order a salad. Don't eat carbs. Skip dessert. Go on a diet. God, you look like a skeleton. Why don't you just eat? You look emaciated. You look sick. Men like women with some meat on their bones. Be a size 0. Be a 00. Be nothing. Be less than nothing. Be a lady, they said. Remove your body hair. Bleach this, bleach that. Eradicate your scars. Cover your stretch marks. Plump your lips. Botox your wrinkles. Lift your face. Tuck your tummy. Perk up your boobs. Look natural. You're trying too hard. You look overdone. Men don't like girls who try too hard. Be a lady, they said. Wear makeup. Highlight your cheekbones. Line your lids. Fill in your brows. Lengthen your lashes. Color your lips. Powder, blush, bronze, highlight. Your hair is too short. Dye your hair, not blue. That looks unnatural. Look young. Old is ugly. Men don't like ugly. Be a lady, they said. Save yourself. Be pure. Don't be a whore. Don't sleep around. Men don't like sluts. Don't be a prude. Don't be so uptight. And smile more. Pleasure men. Be experienced. Be sexual. Be innocent. Be dirty. Be the cool girl. Don't be like the other girls. Be a lady, they said. Don't talk too loud. Don't talk too much. Don't be intimidating. Why are you so miserable? Don't be a bitch. Don't be so bossy. Don't be so emotional. Don't cry. Don't yell. Don't swear. Endure the pain. Don't complain. Fold his clothes. Cook his dinner. Keep him happy. That's a woman's job. You'll make a good wife someday. Take his last name. You hyphenated your name. Crazy feminist. Give him children. You don't want children? You will someday. You'll change your mind. Be a lady, they said. Don't get raped. Don't drink too much. Don't walk alone. Don't go out too late. Don't dress like that. Don't get drunk. Don't smile at strangers. Don't go out at night. Don't trust anyone. Don't say yes. Don't say no. Just be a lady, Lizzie.
Smile. Open up. Cross your legs. Spread your pussy. Speak softer. Scream louder. Be quiet. Be confident. Be interesting. Don't be so difficult. Be strong. Don't fight back. Be an angel. Be a whore. Be a princess. Be anything you want to be. Even the President of the United States of America. Just kidding.
There's no, like, right way to be.
Yeah, like, you have to be what they want you to be. And it's just going to change with every day. It's like you're a lady or you're the slut in the room, right? Like they want a woman who like, who doesn't like sleep around or have sex ever, right? But then they want a woman who's experienced in the bedroom to give you like, you can't be these two people.
Yeah.
And so like, and it's hard to find the strength to be yourself and to be proud of yourself when you're not even allowed to like enjoy who you are or to kind of feel empowered. And I think there's like that conversation that Lily has with the principal where she's talking about her nude drawing. And she's like, you're just looking at the nudity. You're not looking at what this picture is about. Like, if you didn't notice she had nipples, right? Like, then you wouldn't really know. It's just like that comic where someone's like, oh, I got nipple surgery. I switched my right nipple to a woman's nipple. And then in the next panel, it's like blurred, but the other one's fine. Because it's just like,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, and then you also have the commentary later. So for when the principal, he gets hacked and he had taken a picture of his daughter in the tub because that's what parents generally do with their kids. And the child is like a little older, so like that was where I guess people decided that it was a pedophilia thing. Yeah. But she was like 6 or 7. And it was on his phone. It's not like he was like sending it to people or whatever. And it was private. Like, now you're embarrassing him and his kid. Yeah. So, but basically they were saying like it was sexual, it was pedophilia, and it was the main character Lily, she's like arguing with her parents. She's like, no, I mean, you're the one making it sexual. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. It's his child. Yeah. I can walk around naked and you should be able to look at me and not
have a feeling.
Yeah. And then the dad goes and is like, I stopped looking at you naked after you were like 2. And she was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. That's something you need to do. Like, I should not be a sexual entity to you. You are my father.
Yeah. And it's definitely like that conversation, because I've seen it too. Like, even me, like growing up, is like, oh, you can't wear the short at age 6 or 7 because like your uncle or something. It's like, why? Like, if the uncle is the uncle is the problem. So the uncle's going to have a problem with these shorts, then he should not be coming over here where your kids are, right? And I think like that's what the issue is. Like, it always is the onus on these young girls, is on the women. It's just like, you have to, like, the fact that we are like, you have to wear certain clothes so you don't get raped, instead of being like, maybe men shouldn't be raping. Like, maybe we should be fixing the actual problem, which isn't what someone's wearing. And what you're wearing does not give the okay to do anything to you.
Just like, and it has everything to do with control and not like, it has nothing to do with what you're wearing.
Look like. Like, yeah. And I think, like, that's a big thing that people just misconstrue, right? And it, you know, it's like cosplays and consent, right? Like, you should be able to dress up and have fun and not be afraid that someone's going to take that as an opportunity to harass you, right? And so there's a lot in it. It's, like, jam-packed, and the way that people kind of lose it was, like, it was, I mean, it's a movie, right? So it was, like, fun. Right. I don't think people would react to that extent. But essentially half of the tweets and people's text and phone and all that stuff is released. And so her stuff gets released and people are upset about her, and they somehow believe she would have anything to do with it. But
the one character who releases the principal's pictures says the IP address came from her house.
Yes. Yeah. He didn't release the principal's.
Oh, he just sent
knew.
it.
He knew that what happened and was watching it. And then knew enough about technology to look at where the most data was being uploaded and then found her house. But again, why would anyone think she would like she's obviously a victim. Like, why? Anyway, it's like Regina George putting the she's a fugly slut, so it didn't look like she did it.
Yeah.
This is pretty much Mean Girls,
Yeah.
but the whole town, right? And it's not comical really in that way. I will say, as far as like cinematography goes, it has one of the best scenes in that it's a long shot. I love long shots, but it reminded me, so there's a scene where they're in their super expensive house and all the 4 girls are upstairs and they learn that people think that Lily released everything. And so they are freaking out. And so they don't feel safe. So the girls who live in this house, the sisters, are like, okay, well, let's just lock up the house. Because now I don't feel okay. So one of them leaves. We are following her, but from outside. Yeah. So like we're in the windows outside. And so we watch her and then she goes down the stairs and now we're on the 2nd floor. We watch her in there. She goes talk to her mom. We're in the mom's room. And then we go over here. We're going downstairs. And then as we're walking, there's someone outside the house who's at the window trying to break in and he hides, but she's inside the house. And so there's like this depth and it's like, and it keeps going. And then it goes back upstairs. And now the sister's like, where did she go? Hey, mom, what's going on? She goes to find her. Now she's captured and she's in the window and this one's like walking and it's great. And it goes on for a long time, all the way like up until we're like inside the house. And the thing about that shot that makes me like got me excited as soon as it was happening was it's reminds me of my favorite shot and honestly one of the only redeemable parts of the film Spring Breakers. Okay. And it is similar to that where the girls in Spring Breakers are like hot girls in bikinis, but they have ski masks on and they're going to rob this diner. And so they go in and they stop and they get out of the car and the thing follows them. They run into the restaurant, but we're outside. We come in, we see them coming in, you go around and you see them shoot, like threatening them, robbing the place, coming back out. The car is driving. We're with the car. And then it comes back around, they come out, bam, in the car. I was like, this is a great, like the only, there's a lot of cool things actually about Spring Breakers. And I'll probably be the only person who like defends that film. But that is like one of my favorite cinematic like moments ever, and seeing this in this film in such a complex way and in the I really enjoyed it. I just love like inventive stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was also just like the whole watching from outside because that's where they were attacking from. That was also very cool.
Yeah, because it's the voyeurism, right? Like that we are always watching each other and there is no security, there is no privacy, that we all live in these glass houses, which is like what her house was. And so yeah, I thought it was great. There's like lots of violence, lots of blood. It's like over the top, but I think it was fun.
It was definitely fun. And it was I guess it would be like it's funny that you mentioned Mean Girls because it's 100% Mean Girls but technology. Yeah. Like where the scene where Katie's imagining all the people attack each other, that's just what the end of the film is. Yeah. It's literally, they're just actually attacking each other and it's a whole time. And I guess like the whole goal was to show like how we need to have more empathy for each other and we need to like sympathize with each other, at least in interviews. Like that's kind of what he says, where he was like, his goal was to show basically that cancel culture and stuff like that has a role, but it's also really heavy and like people can kill themselves and like we need to be empathetic with each other and we need to work together to fix problems and
we need to understand where people are coming from and like understand that we're all kind of fair game essentially.
Yeah, where it's just like there's this like sense of what makes someone a good person in America and lots of other places, and it's just like that standard is impossible to reach. And also it's like, why is that the standard? Because it was like what our parents believed in, it was what our great-grandparents believed. It's like, why is that the standard? It doesn't have to be. Yeah, we see these powerful women who are like just living unapologetically and like being themselves. Yeah, and like, why is that a problem? Yeah. Like, why can't women just be whatever the heck they want to be? Yeah. But then you kind of get skewed when it turns into this, like, bloodbath. And it's like, you're not really saying to have more empathy because they're getting vengeance. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the ending is interesting because all the girls in the neighborhood come together and they don't have weapons. And then they kind of meet the mob that does. And I was interested to see how that ends. But then the very, very end, after all that, is we have Charlie, no. Go. at the very end, we have a marching band from a town that's outside of this area, and we know that because it's all black and BIPOC. Like it is at the front is this young black girl who's a baton twirler, and then we have the band, and they're like playing Can't Stop Won't Stop, Miley Cyrus. And so which is also interesting, but I was like, where did this, why? And a part of me was like, is this supposed to be commentary of like when the white people are done fighting each other, black people are going to come through, like, you know, because they're untouched, because they're just like, yeah, let you do what you're doing or whatever. But I thought it was super weird.
Yeah, I didn't understand it either.
I was like, why are they here? Why that? Like, what? It's very clearly a different school. And I was like, but what is going on?
Yeah, and it was weird to like have them basically not develop any of the black characters in the beginning and then throw that at the end.
Yeah. Like, what is this? What are you saying?
Yeah. Like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe it means nothing. And then also it's like, why?
And then that's super rude. Yeah. It's like, you can't, like, I think that's the issue. And I think that's what this film is really missing. Is like, you can't put these characters in here and not do anything with them, because that just is just as bad as like just killing them off. Right. Because she like, there's only like 3 or 4 named characters, people with names, who die. The second of which is the black woman. And in a, you know, gruesome way, being like a hero. Like it was awesome. Yeah. And you're, you know, striving for her. And I think it's kind of interesting because she goes and she's fighting for her kids' life. She's trying to save them, and she's also trying to save the girls. And our main character, Lily, has the opportunity to help. Yeah. And it's that young white girl who lets that woman down. And I mean, thought that was kind of like, that hit me in a specific way of like, you know, the allies who are kind of letting the ball drop. And
who aren't speaking.
Yeah. And so like, that's how I don't want to give credit if that's not what it is. Like, I don't want to give more credit than is due. And so that's just like how I interpreted it. But I don't know if that's really, because honestly, if I can learn anything from this film, is that he really didn't take into account that black characters are important and should be fully fleshed out as well and not used as devices. And it kind of like, you need to know, like, you can't have them in there and not know what you're doing with them. Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of Anna Lily Amirpour, and how she was like, well, I'm brown, so it's okay that the first person that died was a black character, and no one of like the black characters were like nothing, and just like I use them as tools, like to kind of like just dismiss that is the problem. Is like, you need to acknowledge, like, you can't have them in here and not do anything with them, because that is just as bad as just cold-heartedly murdering them, like, as characters, right? Like, by neglecting them and not giving them any purpose, you're just doing what horror has been doing for its entirety, and it's disposing of these characters. So it's like, you have this like great thing of like, you know, showing, you know, trans and like these white women, but you're doing what the movement does in neglecting them, and that it sucks. So yeah,
I just feel like what we said last time when we talked about this woman, just like, if you have a platform, use the platform to put other people in the seat to do the thing that you know needs to be said. So let the people who should say it say it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's also, you can't like assume that like it would be better, or like, you know what I mean? Because then that's like a messed up thing too, where it's like you have higher expectations just because, you know, that's like a thing too that people do. And it's like, we should still be amplifying like voices, and specifically black voices, but we should also have like unrealistic and crazy expectations. Like, if it's not the most amazing thing.
But if it's, you know, the thing is like, if we had more to look at, then they could be anything, right? Like, we could have a mix, because it could be anything, right? It's kind of like Jordan Peele's Us. Like, people wanted it to be another Get Out. We wanted it to be another piece about racism, but it turned out to be classism that just happened to feature a family that was black, right? Like, if we had more stories that featured predominantly black characters or BIPOC of any kind, then we wouldn't have to critique it, because they would just be people, right? Like, and we can accept that. But at this point in time, we don't have that. And so we have to like grab and have the representation that we need, because we don't have the plethora enough to show like all the diversity that there is. Like we should have so much, an abundance of it, that we can have good, bad, ugly, fun, like any mix of between. But instead we're like, oh, this is one. I found one in the dirt. Here you go. Like nothing, like, you know? So if we could amplify more and more voices, it doesn't matter what it is. Just get it out there. Like, why do the white people get to fail? Like, why do they get to have bad movies and good movies and no one says anything like, oh, good for the white people?
Yeah. It's because everything is whitewashed. Yeah. That's the problem. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was fun. I think it is a good film to go watch.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I definitely agree. It was very stressful.
Yeah.
It's very, like, rough in terms of, like, a stress element. Like, I was actively stressed the entire time.
Yeah.
But it was a good, like, you can enjoy it still.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Cinematography is fun.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're also
that's our job.
Some stuff, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, that's what you want to do. If you come out of a film and you're like, that was perfect, nothing's wrong with it, then you probably weren't watching it. Like, because it's not going to be perfect.
And
Get Out isn't perfect, you know?
A lot. It was saying a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And nonstop. Like, it's like always saying something. And I think that's great. And what it was saying was great. Like, I think a lot of it was powerful and awesome. And it is fun. It was just kind of fun. And also uncomfortable and stressful in, like, a way that's refreshing, especially teenagers. I was really like, when do they study? I was like, when do they do school? I really was so, I don't know. I'm not cut out to be a mom right now. But yeah, that was Assassination Nation.
It was cool.
Yeah. So don't get married. They'll eat your kids. Or, they'll grow up to shoot you, I guess. Shoot your neighbors. Sext your neighbors.
Oh.